It's turbo time. That's what you think from last time, right?
Yeah.
We sticking with that?
If we want, but I wanted to tell you I had a Warhammer nightmare.
A Warhammer nightmare?
Yeah, this goes against all my principles, but not telling people about my dreams. Because it's boring, but since we're recording things from other people. So it was all my minis, right? All my bits that I had in my various spaces for them, and they knocked everywhere, all over the floor. Great bits, painted guys in various states of disrepair on the floor. And I'm like trying to sort, oh no, worst thing that could happen, right? And then I look around and I'm in a playground, like a child's playground, so it's like, you know, all the pebbles, you got the pebbles, they're all bits, gray bits, pebbles. I'm like, oh no! And then, right when I start picking stuff up, bell rings, recess. 50,000 children come screaming out and trampling all over my Contemptor dreadnoughts and my lieutenants and my 10mm dudes that are so hard to find. It was a fucking... I woke up like...
Cold sweat.
Yeah, it was terrifying.
You had to go and like check on all your...
Yeah, I burst into the room. Yeah, no, it was scary.
That's crazy. I don't know if I've ever had a Warhammer nightmare other than like, you know, playing against like some kid with a bunch of night sights.
Yeah, I don't know what it means. It probably means something about my dad.
Fuck. I just realized I didn't bring a drink in. Hang on.
Alright, go for it.
Yeah. Vamp. Oh. No, don't. I'll just cut it out. It's fine.
Vamp? Is that like me entertaining?
Okay. Yeah.
Well, listeners, it's been some time. I wonder what everyone's been building, gluing, painting, playing, all the things. Heresy came out. That's fucked. That's all I got. Well, Camel's back. Here he is.
Great vamping. What's your favorite line of dialogue in the trailer for Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves?
Oh, the opening line where he says, "Here's the thing." As if he's answering a question that nobody asked, which is kind of what that movie is.
A question nobody asked.
But I guess like thousands of like Reddit dudes with like boobs, like big man boobs, have been asking for it. So
yeah,
I can picture like 1,000 guys like that being like, "That's me and my party for real."
Yeah,
That's us. This is us.
That's me and my party. A C-list Guardians of the Galaxy
exactly.
rip-off.
It does have like a bad Guardians of the Galaxy vibe.
Totally.
So it was like.
You didn't ask what my favorite line of dialogue is when he says, "What's that?" And the other guy goes, "It's an owlbear."
Yeah,
because
that.
That is also how many fucking people have said it's an owlbear in that exact tone.
Oh, that's an owlbear. Yeah, so we're talking. You want to talk about adaptations of cool shit that's like varying degrees of being cool.
Yeah, to an extent. Like I think just like tabletop representation and adaptation in like film and television medium. We should say this is Cocked. You listen to Cocked. You didn't cover that when you were vamping?
No, I didn't.
No, okay. I'm Campbell.
I'm Connor.
Yeah. So yeah, I was thinking. I don't know. This trailer came out and got me thinking. Like I really want to talk about like it's such an interesting thing to me of like. You know, tabletop games being so ubiquitous and like huge, like it is.
Yeah.
Like D&D is a thing that people are like
it's a massive property. It's a massive IP.
Totally, and that there's like, it's not, or like even like Warhammer having like a huge like you want to talk about a massive property, a massive IP.
God, I hope they never make a Warhammer movie.
And like, but the fact that they haven't, right? The fact that they're like that it is like relatively untapped in this like. Day and age where every movie is just a fucking adaptation of something.
That would suck so much ass if they made one.
But like, aren't they making like cartoons? Like
they make cartoons, but picture like them trying to somebody trying to make like a Marvel. Like here's the thing, we're Space Marines. That kind of shit would suck.
You don't want to see like Henry Cavill playing Robotigo?
No, I like Henry Cavill's quiet reverence for 40K. You know?
Right. Yeah.
Like little fanboyishness. It's cute. I don't want it's not suited for I'm actually glad they're making the cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're like varying degrees of quality. Some of them I think are really good, and some of them are fine.
Yeah.
At the lowest point, they're like fine.
Right.
But it's not something that you can live action shoot, except when they did that in the 90s, and it was like.
Oh, dude, I saw clips of that like for the first time this week.
It rocks.
Those orc costumes look amazing.
Yeah, it's like that aesthetic is just gone, so you can't do it. If you just
it's,
look
yeah,
clean
it's like,
and like.
It's like if you try to make like Starship Troopers or like Total Recall now, right?
Yeah.
Which,
yeah.
you know, I mean, like we can. I think Starship Troopers and Total Recall are Imperial Guard versus Tyranids and Necromunda, the movie.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
it's not like a.
Yeah.
It's not a hot take, but yeah.
I know, yeah. Like,
yeah,
you know.
absolutely. I think like. Or like another tabletop movie that I think is fucking not a tabletop movie kind of, but like the both Judge Dredd's. Sick.
Big time.
That's things like matte paintings, man.
Yeah.
So it's not like, you know?
Yeah.
They can't do it anymore.
Or like Event Horizon. I don't know.
Event Horizon.
There's a lot of these movies that are like 40K tabletop, like adjacent. Like clearly have had like an influence, but rarely an out and out adaptation. I guess like you were starting to talk about like why do you think that is? Like why does it not work? Why is it bad?
Because you can't just have like I don't know, say there's like 1 million people in the world who play 40K. And then like maybe another 2 million to 1.5 million who like play the video games, blah blah blah. That can't sell a movie. You know what I mean? Like globally, that can't sell a movie.
Right.
It has to, you know what I mean?
But that's no. That's different from like the movie being bad. That's different.
Oh, you're talking
from
about why the movies are bad?
Yeah, like why? Well, like I don't know. You were saying you were like, I'm so glad they haven't made like a film
because
adaptation
they're
of
not
this.
movies.
Yeah,
like,
okay, but like
you know what I mean? Like the
yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons movie is not a movie. It is a giant visual nonsense that is trying to like capitalize on that.
It's a collection of pages from the Monster Manual.
Straight up. It's a collection. It is Reddit the movie. It's like, here's the thing. Can I get my heckin' up doodles and like fucking, you know what I mean? Like it's not. It's made to be like mass consumed on the internet and like justify like Netflix subscriptions. It's like a Netflix movie, right?
I don't think it's a Netflix movie. I think it's like a movie.
Oh shit. But the thing too, they already made the ultimate bad Dungeons and Dragons.
So I was gonna say they do have like a D&D movie that kind of rocks for like how not good it is. But like Jeremy Irons kicks ass in that movie.
Oh,
like,
he's having so much fun.
He's the only person who knows what movie he's in.
Yeah, he's just going like over and over again. Marlon Wayans, right?
I think so.
I'm gonna hope that's the case. He jumps in the carpet that's like quicksand. It's like a bunch of oatmeal.
It's been
the movie's hilarious.
It's been a while since I've seen it.
It's bad.
Yeah,
like it's really funny.
Fun bad. Yeah.
Yeah. The guy whose ears turn pink. He's got like a worm in him or whatever the fuck.
No. But it's like, I guess it's like a thing where it's like both that movie and like the trailer for the Honor Amongst Thieves or whatever are things where it's like, they don't understand why D&D is good. Like it's no,
because most people don't.
Anyways. Yeah.
But like D&D's not a thing. It's like a medium.
Totally.
To me, like it's not like I understand
it
as like an IP and like Owlbear TM.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And people like it for that. Like people like it for the aesthetics, which is fine, I guess.
Yeah.
People like that kind of shit.
But I don't know. I don't think there's a reason that like prohibits you from telling an interesting story. Like what would make a fucking like you love Gaunt's Ghosts.
Love Gaunt's Ghosts.
You like that is a narrative that somebody is telling set within like the Warhammer 40K universe. Why couldn't somebody do that in film or in television?
I suppose you could, but like the production, the thing is like the production value for these types of things always is so like in order to sell the fantasy is so expensive that you have to justify it through mass appeal. Right. That's why they're bad. Like the only property like the Jackson Lord of the Rings was the like perfect silver, like right in the middle where it's like we have such confidence in the source material that we're just gonna stick to it as faithfully as the medium will allow us to, and we believe that the story is good enough and the work that we're doing, the craft that we're doing is good enough that it will sell.
Right.
to justify the production cost. But
I think
there is no story D&D. Like, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
just a
totally.
bunch of aesthetic trappings. So like,
yeah.
you can't do that. I always thought
Well,
like, if you're gonna make a D&D movie, you'd have to incorporate. I think this is why like Stranger Things. I've only seen the first season like years
Yeah.
and years ago, but like the reason that works as like D&D ishness is because
Mhm.
you've got the element of like 4 boys
Yeah.
who are like little nerds and shit.
Well, so that's something that I think like Stranger Things.
Like that is what D&D like. The
Yeah.
core of D&D is like a bunch of people,
Yeah.
like, regular people doing something fantastical.
Stranger Things is like interesting because it's not like an adaptation. I wanted to talk about this. Not necessarily like an adaptation of D&D, but like I think especially the first season of that show before the show became just like self-referential to like the memes of the kids and like fucking Eggo waffles and shit.
Yeah.
Like the first season when that show was good is like because it was a show that understood what was good about D&D.
Yeah. Do you want to know?
And
Sorry, go ahead.
it was a show that like that's a show that is funny because I think like in a lot of like media representations, not necessarily like adaptations of tabletop role playing, but like film representations of people who participate in like role playing, it was like it's always like Steve Carell being like, and now I will paint your silver paints blue. And Stranger Things was great because it was a show that was actually like, oh, we understand why people would be interested in doing this, and the storytelling and the, you know, and they I think fairly faithfully kind of like recreated.
There's like in those little scenes they capture like the spirit.
Yeah.
So one of my hot take though is that they already made a series of perfect D&D movies, and they were all of the Jumanji movies. Like if you replace the aesthetics of the jungle
Yeah.
with a fantasy world, and the game
Totally.
is D&D, and they
Mhm.
get trapped and or like
Are you just saying like the Robin Williams one, or are you
No,
including
you're including
including
the new
Dwayne
ones,
and Kevin?
Exactly. Like,
Okay.
imagine if that movie was instead of he's in explorer.
Yeah,
playing
yeah,
rock
yeah.
drunk,
He's like
in like a big barbarian's body.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like that would be, and it's funny and like silly because D&D is silly and funny.
Yeah.
Like that would be the perfect D&D movie in my opinion. Like you have to have the link between like real world teenagers or like
Yeah.
nerds.
I think the best like recent memory, the best like adaptation of sort of like a, you know, serialized like role playing kind of like the Mandalorian. You know, like if you think of like a bunch, there's like certain episodes of that show where it's just like we're doing like little adventure of the week where it's like, oh, like you know, this week's session you're gonna be doing a prison break, or like that episode where he gets trapped on like the ice planet with the big like brain spiders.
That was cool as hell. Yeah.
Is like that was a D&D encounter, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you're just like, oh, one of the party role plays off to like look at these little eggs, while the other 2 members of the party are having this conversation, and then like this thing, and then the huge like it you know, you gotta get away, you gotta kill the small guys, and then it, you know, you get back to the ship and you have to fight the big boss.
Yeah.
And like that, a lot of the episodes of The Mandalorian, I felt like they did a pretty
episodism. Like you got because like you did go into watching that show being like, I wonder what's gonna happen this week, which is like kind of how you approach a session.
You know, Mandalorian and Bill Burr are gonna have to break into a Imperial stronghold while the rest of the party like waits to snipe them and like give them a safe route of escape on the roof, right? Like that's a D&D session.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the 140K movie that they made like 10 years ago? The Ultramarines movie?
No.
It's so bad that it's not like there's very few things in my life where I'm like, if it's something remotely adjacent to something I like, I'm like, it's fucking trash, but watch it because there's some cool shit.
Right.
It is just the worst thing I've ever seen. It's so boring. Yeah, I was just curious if you've ever seen it, but like, don't even watch that shit. It's so bad. It's weird because it's written by Dan Abnett, who's like,
what the fuck?
Yeah, but it is no good. Yeah, I think. But have you watched any of the Warhammer TV?
No, I don't have Warhammer Plus.
You know what's doing that? Simon's got an account. He's giving it allegedly.
Yeah.
The password.
I do. Yeah, I've heard Exodite is really good. Like.
I gotta watch the rest of it actually. But that's the thing. Like they're all too short. So like they don't capture your attention. You forget about them. Some of them are good.
The ones that are good? Like, sell me on one of the ones that are good. Like, why is it a good adaptation of?
There's like a noir, like Inquisition one
Mhm.
they were doing, which is fucking cool. They say fucking it and shit.
Cool.
Which was surprising to me.
They don't say feth and gack.
They don't say feth and gag. Oh, that would have been cool too. But some of them, like the ones that work, are like really cool little, well-written like short stories that have. Like, I'm surprised at like how much they're sticking to actually the grimdark. Like a lot of them are like really hopeless and like kind of twisted.
Yeah.
Which is sick. But there's just like not nearly enough, I think, to like justify a subscription service.
Right. Yeah.
There's battle reports, but you can watch that for free by people who are like much better at it.
Yeah.
On YouTube.
Yeah. But that's like, yeah, I do kind of think that like doing the, you know, maybe not like Warhammer Plus necessarily, but it's just like Games Workshop needs to have that like iron fist ruling over all of their IP that like if
Astartes is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, Astartes is incredible, and if they were to like, if there was to be like an agreement between like Netflix, the dude who made Astartes, and Games Workshop.
Well, Games Workshop has the dude who made Astartes making Astartes 2 for Warhammer TV.
Okay. Yeah. But it's just, yeah, that's the kind of thing where it's like I could see a multitude of TV shows.
I don't think it works in like a visual medium. In like for long form fiction.
Right.
I don't know if it like no one's been able to do that properly. Like what's cool about Astartes is that it's just a bunch of feeling. It's just emotion.
It's like a tone poem.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
yeah, like there's no, which I think is how like 40K is like the best. Like all of like Games Workshop's IPs are the best when it's just feeling that makes you want it, and the suggestion of stories, the suggestion of like narratives that you never really like. You don't always like. The more you reveal about that setting, the worse it gets, in my opinion, or like the less interesting it becomes.
Sure, I kind of like if we're talking about like you know, long form fiction, like narrative stories set within this universe, and like going back to like Black Library books and stuff. I think the ones that do so more successfully.
Yeah, I'm talking visually, but like
sure. But are the ones that kind of like, even just like in reading, like the ones that are more successful are the ones that kind of like create their own. Like I was reading like Ravener, right?
Yeah.
And like Ravener, where it's just like
hyper zoomed in.
Yeah, and he's just like, oh, this is set on a planet where the pollution is so bad that there's acid rain that rich people hire poor people to hold umbrellas over them, and they're all out on the streets, like, and their umbrellas have like their rates, like, you know, poorly like painted on them, as like such a great. That has nothing to do with tabletop 40K.
Yes. Yeah.
At all, and does give you the feeling of like this is why someone would be like, yeah, I guess I'll enlist and be like in the Imperial Guard, you know, or the Adeptus, the Astra Militarum, still stuck in 7th. But you know what I mean, like that. I think that's a thing that you can adapt, and that's a thing that, like, if you know, hypothetically.
Because like I don't want to see necessarily, like, there's a couple of the Warhammer, the Hammer Bolter ones that are kind of counteract this, but like stories about models is not good. You know what I mean? You know, like some Black Library material is like very clear, like, or a lot of it is someone who wants to tell a story, and you know the publishing company is reportedly very good at creativity, but like some of the ones that come out like in relation to a model release, it's just like the characters are the model is like so off-putting, and there's some of that in Warhammer TV stuff where it's like, oh, this is about this model,
right?
Not about like a character per se. And part of that too is why, like, I don't know why I think. I know we're going this back to a Warhammer movie, but I mean, they tried it once with Ultramarines at like a very low stakes place. I wouldn't be surprised if it does eventually have it.
Well, I mean,
I think they'll do. I think they would, if they would, they would Sigmar.
They're making movies and TV out of fucking anything right now. Like they adapted The Witcher, that got 2 seasons. You know, like they're making Halo TV.
Yeah, but The Witcher's a story. There's like books.
Yeah, but it's nobody fucking read those books. like
That's true.
it's a video game. They
Yeah.
made a very successful TV show out of a D&D video game. Like they're going to make, they're just like pulling at everything. I feel like this like D&D movie is again like they're pulling at these kind of things. I think the thing for me is that like watching like a D&D movie or watching like a Warhammer movie is like kind of goes back to that thing of like listening to someone else tell you about what happened in their campaign.
Yeah.
And it is kind of like the allure of this is like, well, I'm going to make my own story and I'm going to have my own fun. And like, yeah, it's like this is just the aesthetic trappings of like what I want to do on my own.
Yeah, the D&D one is just like nothing in that. Like I know it says Dungeons and Dragons on it, and there's like a bunch of crap from the monster manual, but it doesn't elicit any wonder or intrigue or like any of the emotions that I associate with medieval fantasy role-playing games, which is like mystery and possibility and motion. It's just clean nothingness, like a void of garbage that swallows everything.
Well, it's like, yeah, and I mean, like, we're judging all of this on like a 2-minute trailer, but like
they put it out there to be judged,
and also we're going to be proven right, but
yeah, it's not going to be good.
But it's that thing.
No
like,
chance.
That thing about wonder is so funny because having the guy be like, "We're thieves, we steal magical artifacts," is like, oh, so this is just blasé to you, huh? Like you like it's like in the.
This is as routine to you as the monster manual is to me.
Yeah.
Like, this is...
like, did you see the? It's not new now because they've made 7 of them, but the first new Jurassic World movie, the first one with Chris Pratt.
I did, but that feels like 8 lifetimes ago.
Yeah, like I don't know.
Yeah.
But that movie is so funny because it's a movie about a theme park where literal dinosaurs exist, and the like kids going to that theme park are like, oh, can I just stay in the hotel and play video games? And it's like the exact opposite.
Yeah.
That thing of like all of these fucking movies are just like so devoid of.
Which like works as like a joke for like the two parents taking their kids to that movie of like, oh,
yeah,
that's like
what they're like.
When we went to Great Wolf Lodge. But like, that's not how. That's not amazing.
Yeah,
That's just
exactly. Whereas like if you watch the original Jurassic Park and you see like Sam Neill like take off his glasses and be like, they do move and hurts. It's like a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
And that's like, that
it's almost
definitely.
like they care as much as you're supposed to.
Yeah.
So like, and the way that guy's like, what is that? That's an owl bear.
That's an owl bear.
So like their reaction is just like, it's like they're watching they're watching the trailer.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a person turned into an owl bear and attacked and killed somebody in front of them.
Yeah.
Like that is
They're
so
not, like,
off-putting.
It's really funny because it does also play into like, like what we were talking about a few episodes ago, where like when people get into combat in D&D, they stop role playing.
Yeah.
And it's like if you were like a level fucking whatever character who's like grew up like schlepping through mud or whatever, and then your new friend transforms into a bear and murders somebody, and you're like, all right, well, how am I gonna leverage my 5-foot step? You would be losing.
You can go to that person after and be like, well, how are we gonna split the?
Oh yeah, like, hey, why? How do you do that? They're like, that is so. Maybe this trailer is incredibly accurate to the experience
it
of
might
playing.
be the most accurate D&D movie of all time, like D&D property of all time.
Yeah.
Of just like bored people doing boring shit and not being amazed by anything.
And not introducing any new concepts ever.
Yeah, like don't fucking. Oh, I swear to God, do not stop using the monster manual. Burn your monster manual. If you're just getting into D&D, do not buy it.
No.
Just do anything else. There are so many resources on the internet where you could like, you might be hearing that police siren.
That's Wizards of the Coast coming to arrest us for talking shit on this movie.
But like, just like there's resources online where you can auto-generate and then like fine-tune like really interesting bad guys, monsters, creatures that will scare people. There's nothing more like taking the wind out of the sail when like a DM like describes something coming and moving and the smell and some guy's like, oh, that's an oblique or whatever the hell.
An Umber Hulk?
Yeah, an Umber Hulk. Like, it's everyone's like, oh yeah, that's the 65 HP and
careful, it's resistant to...
Yeah, and that's what, I think that movie's going to be a bunch of again, like combed, bunch of people with like suits that combed Reddit for the posts with the most votes, and we're like, let's put this meme in there, let's put this meme in there.
Yeah. It's all like first drafts of the second Thor movie.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sorry, people, if you I don't like bitching, but we love it. So
yeah. What do you think about? I'm just trying to think of like other movies and like. Did you watch Onward?
I did. I cried at that movie.
Oh damn.
Yeah, the ending with the anything with dad
stuff
shit. Yeah, that'll get me.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun. I actually wasn't even like, I was like, this is pretty good, and the ending just like gut punched me.
Yeah.
Like, holy fuck.
But that's like a very like
It's a loving movie about D&D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that I think, I mean, like maybe it gets a pass because it's a cartoon and because it is like for children.
Yes,
but,
it does get a pass. Yeah, that's exactly right.
But it's like that is like definitely a movie that is like I've heard people complain. It's like, well, it's pretty kind of like rudimentary, like very basic understanding of Dungeons and Dragons and like tabletop role playing. I don't really think they like got the intricacies of.
Yeah.
And it's like no, but that's why it's good. It's like because it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
the shit is silly, anyways.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't mean anything. It's fucking shit.
That's one that, like, again, like, sort of doing the, kind of similar to the Stranger Things thing.
Yeah, you know what's great fucking D&D representation? Remember that episode of Recess?
Oh, Knarf.
Pale Kids? Yeah.
Yeah, Pale Kids?
That one's great.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah. JT. Yeah. That's, okay, so, like, that's one where it's, like, people playing D&D as opposed to, like, an adaptation of D&D. So like that episode of Recess is fantastic. But I don't think
I really, again, back to my Jumanji point.
Yeah.
I don't think and why people love Stranger Things. I don't think that there's a separation between the playing of the game and the game, like the aesthetics of like the fantasy world. Like that's anyone can do that.
Right.
Like this Dungeons and Dragons movie that's about to come out, or like the Dungeons and Dragons movie that came out before and was made like $7 at the box office. The reason that they're gonna suck is because it's just fucking bullshit fantasy.
Right.
But what people connect with when they think of the game is like they think of their friends and their time together, and like, so you can't have a D&D, I think, representation without that.
Without the trappings of like people playing the game.
It's like why people watch fucking Critical Role and shit.
Right.
Like, it's not because the world is cool. Like the world is cool as a bonus to people who like it. Like if you like that shit.
Yeah.
They watch it because of the tabletop. Tabletop.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's I feel like Community and like Harmon Quest were also really good at that.
Yeah. I never watched Harmon Quest, I don't know what that is, but that Community episode's good.
Yeah. The Harmon Quest was like because I think there was like when he did his podcast, they would end episodes of his podcast with them doing like little silly Dan Harmon D&D.
Right.
And I think because that Community episode hit as big as it did, and like you remember like a few years ago when like a bunch of streaming services started up, like CISO and like all these like weird, and then all immediately folded.
Yeah.
So one of them was just like looking for content, and they were like, hey, what if we did it's gonna be like Dan Harmon, the beard long hair guy from his podcast, and the dude who always wears the suit on Whose Line Is It Anyway? Jeff
Proops?
No. You're thinking of Greg.
Greg
Proops. Not Greg Proops. Anyway, so it was like the three of them as regulars, and then they would bring in like a guest, and it was kind of like improv. Like it would be a celebrity guest.
I think I did see that.
Yeah, and they would
2014, 2015.
Yeah, somewhere in there. And they would like improv play, and then it would be the whole thing would be animated, where it was like they drew their characters like talking to each other their it was kind of like right on the back of Rick and Morty as well.
Right.
But that like I felt like that was a very fun, and again like adapting it as like this is inherently silly, so we're going to adapt it as a comedy instead of like super serious.
D&D shit works better as comedy.
Yeah.
It's funny as hell. Like it's not. And it's not funny in the way that they're doing it in the
No, no.
With like Marvel quips and
Marvel
shit.
quips, yeah.
You gotta leverage the absurdity.
Yeah. That shit works as a comedy. The Harmon Quest's first season was pretty good. It was fun.
Nice.
Like, yeah. And it's like, I think we're finding it, is that it has to be comedic. It can't be... Yeah. None of the Vin Diesel ones have worked out because he's way too serious.
Yeah.
You see the fucking...
Yeah, he made a fucking...
The Witch Hunter?
Movie?
He made The Last Witch Hunter, which was like a very codified, like, not D&D D&D movie.
And it was okay. Did you watch it?
Oh, it's amazing. But
it's like worth watching bad?
Yeah.
Okay, that's sick. Yeah.
Dude, you get to hear Vin Diesel say... He says... No, but he says... Those are ancient weather runes, and you just carry them around in your pocket.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. Elijah Wood's in it, too.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck. That movie was probably so fun to make.
Yeah.
Man, that's cool. Yeah, I think that's why, like, no 40K movie will ever be good.
Because you can't make a movie about people playing 40K on a tabletop.
Yeah, because that's not what's cool about 40K. Like, it's the opposite. Like, what's cool about 40K is the aesthetic and is the world.
Right.
And you'd have to translate that to, like, live action, I guess.
I don't think it has to be live action. I think you could
have mass appeal. Like, when was the last? You can't. A serious cartoon movie has never worked. You know.
Akira.
The best in Japan.
Okay.
They like that shit. Like what? When they released that like Final Fantasy movie here, like
no,
15 years ago.
Not at all.
More than that, like almost 20 years ago. You ever? No.
No.
Well,
They made a Final Fantasy movie?
Yeah, it's not good.
Okay.
It's like weird in Japanese and nobody got it. And nobody hated it.
Is that like the... Yeah, I guess they keep trying to adapt like... Yeah, like they did that with like Avatar, The Last Airbender as well. And they did it with Dragon Ball Z. And like... All these like live action American releases of like Japanese IPs have not worked out.
No, not at all. The Japanese could probably make a sick 40K movie.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Give it to the Japanese.
Right. Give it to the dude who made the original Aeon Flux.
I've never seen that. That was that.
It was like a weird, like, Korean anime.
Yeah, give it to the Japanese and the Koreans.
Yeah.
Games Workshop. I'll let them know when I'm at Warhammer World next week. I'll ask to speak to the HQ.
Yeah. Can I speak to the head of Warhammer TV?
Give it to the Japanese!
Yeah. I propose a merger.
Yeah. That would be sick, actually.
Yeah, like an animated thing.
Yeah.
Or like if they gave it like the Dennis Villeneuve Dune treatment.
No, that wouldn't be good.
No.
I rewatched Dune.
You didn't like it,
I liked it less the second time.
Oh.
Even worse almost than I did when I accidentally bought the 4D ticket. Which was the worst experience of my life.
Was it Jason Momoa's fault?
No. It's fine. It's just like the dour color palette really does it for me. Zendaya is extremely distracting. I like what's your man Timothée Chalamet. I like him a lot. Parts of it I really like. You know, the fucking Emperor shit and like the Sardaukar.
Yeah.
That shit's awesome.
I wish they had made this Sardaukar
cooler.
Like
gas masks and fucking...
Well, it's almost a thing where it's like, I feel like I wish that they had made the aesthetic, because I feel like Dune is something that is also like very, you know, there's 40K stuff in there.
Garish Baroque colors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I wish there was more like heraldry, and I wish that the Sardaukar had big shoulder pads and big boots.
Yeah,
like,
dude, yes.
You know what I mean?
Big shoulder pads,
yeah.
big boots.
Just make them Space Marines. They are Space Marines.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Grill
you
face,
can just do
fucking,
that.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Not looking like NASA spacemen
Well,
doing Muay Thai.
They all look the same.
Yeah.
The Freeman and the Sardaukar and the Atreides, they all kind of look the same.
Yeah. I like the Harkonnens were dope.
Yeah.
What if Pickle Hobbs though? You know.
Pickle Hobbs?
Like the old German
Oh, the helmet with the spike?
Spike on top.
Okay.
They just need more of that shit and everything. That's fucking awesome.
Steel Legion?
Yeah, exactly. But I do think that, I don't know, now we're just like I'm just like wish listing shit that I would like to see, but like us. I don't know, they just need to make, Paul Verhoeven, make him do a 40K movie.
Oh, he already did.
That's true. That movie, Starship Troopers rocks.
Yeah.
They could do, I feel like a Horus Heresy movie would be almost, like if they were going to do a Games Workshop property movie, Horus Heresy would be what we would do. Because it's galaxy spanning, so you got like macro stakes.
Yeah.
And then it's about brothers and father, so there's like a personal, intimate stakes.
Yeah.
And those two things against each other. That would be what I would recommend they do.
Yeah.
If they were to do some bullshit movie, but that would make a great, in some alternate dimension, a great like animated HBO series.
Yeah. Yeah. Like a Succession kind of.
Yeah, it's very
Like-
Succession vibes.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It literally is.
It is Succession.
Yeah.
The Emperor just being like, fuck off.
Yeah. Fuck off. I'm the War Master, Red Band.
Fuck you, Horace.
Fuck you, it's me.
You got any more? You got one for Shiv?
No. No female space marines.
No female space marines. Yeah, I don't know. This is a thing that I just like think about all the time. Is like, why don't they make cool movies of shit that I like?
I'm not good at making movies. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like there hasn't been a good movie made in 1,000 years.
It all when Arnold stopped being Conan was the last time there was a good movie. But that's it is a thing though where it's like like Arnold Conan is like not necessarily a D&D movie,
That's
but
a D&D-ass movie. It's a series of side adventures.
Totally, and it's like if you want to talk about one, generic bullshit fantasy.
Yes.
Two, a feel of just
that
like
movie is
just
all
vibes, right?
Vibe all the time.
Like it, that is the perfect example of
the
like
days before the ocean turned Atlantis, like so
or like
sick.
I feel like The Northman was like
Yeah, that was tight. That was
like
so.
that's the best movie that's come out since Conan 2.
Conan 2.
But yeah, like I don't know. Every now and then you hit on things, or like Mad Max Fury Road is like basically an orcs movie, you know, like
Yeah, that's also like very, very vibe.
is like vibe heavy. Like there are.
It's funny because these are all the things that are inputs into what 40K is. You know what I mean? And like good Warhammer Fantasy and the good parts of D&D, like 2000 AD.
Yeah.
Mad Max, Conan.
Yeah.
All that shit.
Oh, you're saying like these are all the like original.
Like the
things
reason
that,
we like them.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
But it's like I don't know. You could. I guess is it just a thing where it's like we appreciate seeing the like tone and like sort of like IP of Warhammer or D&D reflected in something that is not that more than we appreciate. Once they put a brand on it that is like it is this. Like it immediately becomes disappointing.
Yeah, because I think so Games Workshop hasn't been able to really hit that tone in maybe 16 years. Like, in terms of the products that they produce.
Like, you're talking like minis, like codices.
Codices and art, mostly.
Yeah, sure.
Minis, sometimes they do, but like...
Yeah. Definitely there is like a tonal and aesthetic shift within the company and like...
because they're a business that have to evolve with the market. But a movie like Mad Max Fury Road, which is created by a fucking crazy moron, like... Not moron. But like that's the kind of vibe the movie gives off, right?
Totally.
It's just like insanity.
Yeah.
Which is like him tapping into that 80s imaginative like thrust can hit that tone perfectly and not skip a beat.
Yeah.
And that's what it like connects with. Whereas like even like the new 40K like shorts, even though they're really, some of them are really good, and they like the writing has the vibe, but the art doesn't have the vibe because it doesn't. One, it's too expensive. Again, like the amount of like depth and like insane scale that those things need. It's like flat, like almost like Samurai Jack level. Like, not to denigrate
Samurai Jack
it's
also
amazing.
rocked, but
It's also kind of really 40K, but like,
Yep.
yeah, like it's like janky kind of animation, you know?
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, and I do think that it's a thing where it's like, even just like from a viewer standpoint, is like, there's like a punk or like just like being into miniatures or whatever and being force fed the line that it's like you're the outcast or whatever. It's like I don't need some huge blockbuster movie to tell me what Dungeons and Dragons is. I'll tell you what Dungeons and Dragons is, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like I'm gonna watch a movie and be like, this is what I like about it, and like I'm gonna declare that this separate property falls under the purview of like how I envision this role-playing universe, or like things that are tonally or thematically similar with like the thing that I like to do, as opposed to having Wizards of the Coast and fucking Legendary Pictures and Chris Pine be like, this is what you like.
Like, I get it. We're not dumb. We get that it's like a business and like they have to do a certain thing in order and follow like trends. So it's not like a big mystery why they didn't do our specific like niche version of D&D as a movie. Like we get that, but like it's also why it's gonna be bad. Like, not that they're not doing what we would want them to do, because they're doing something like so nonsensical and silly and like not serious. Like, it doesn't look like, aside from like faithful artistic renditions of the monsters in the monster manual.
Dude, that's
like,
they're not even doing that because that dude touched the mimic and didn't get stuck to it. He touched the mimic and then it opened its mouth and he went, "Whoa!" And I was,
Yeah, but see, that's what kind of bullshit that people are gonna say.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, it was heckin' awesome, except for
yeah. Boy, I hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of disappointing. Like, just like the D&D, it's a weird thing. It's weird to feel like on the outside of something that you thought was like for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Like for you and like people who just like had your same like wavelength, and then just to be like, oh, it's just trash.
Yeah.
It's just the same trash as everything else.
Well, yeah. Yeah. It is such a like. It's the same with this new like Lord of the Rings show that's coming out on Amazon,
Yeah.
where it's like everything feels like it went into production.
Yesterday.
No, I think all of
What
it's
is it
like,
about? Like in a large sense, I know the
Yeah.
Second Age.
What
What
is
the
it?
fuck is supposed to be like? Who? What?
But like the Lord of the Rings show and the Dungeons and Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves both feel like movies that are coming out like 7 years too late. Like the Lord of the Rings feels like so much like it's like built up in like the general aesthetic of Game of Thrones, as opposed to like the Jackson Lord of the Rings, or like having its own visual identity. And then like the Chris Pine thing we were saying is like it feels like just like a cheap remake of like
No, but I think
Guardians of the
D&D
Galaxy.
one, sorry, but yes, totally, it is like very Marvel-y, but like for them as business, like they've had fantastic 10 years, but like the last 3 years in specific because of like COVID, people like trying
people
having
staying
nothing to do,
inside.
and like
Yeah.
they're the most like D&D's the most profitable it's ever been by like an extreme margin.
Right.
So it makes sense for them to do it now, but especially on the Lord of the Rings one, I feel that it seems bizarre.
It's a thing where it's like they feel like it's like coming out in I think this is like pre-Mandalorian, if that makes sense, where like every movie coming out for a really long time was either the same beat for beat Marvel origin story, or like a soft reboot of something that came out in the 80s.
Right.
And like even like Star Wars was just like a remake of Star Wars, or like and then I feel like once The Mandalorian hit, and it was a thing where it was like, oh, we can take pre-existing IPs and tell new, interesting, like fun, different stories within the universe. I know they didn't do that yet. But it was a thing that was like, oh, this is possible. And
when Mandalorian came out, I was like, oh my god, do I like
Star Wars again?
No. Turns out, no, don't hate it.
But I feel like even like the big like Marvel movies and shit have started letting their directors have more of a voice to set them aside from like the earlier like Jon Favreau all the ones that like Taika Waititi is putting out, or like the ones that like the Sam Raimi like these, they feel newer. And the trailer for D&D and the trailer for like The Rings of Power feels like they went into production before you were allowed to make your own movie within that genre, and they just like, it feels dated. It feels like such a pre-COVID like
I'm very quickly before we get back to Lord of the Rings, I'm sad that Taika Waititi is doing Marvel garbage, because I would just love for him to continue doing weird movies that come out of his brain, like Jojo Rabbit and shit. Like,
or Hunt for the Wilder People is great.
Yeah, like, it's so sad, just like wasting millions of dollars and so much talent on trash. Like, yeah. Same thing with like the Lord of the Rings show, like the production quality, like Howard Shore's doing the music.
Mm-hmm.
It's $1 billion. It's like the most expensive thing ever produced for TV, and it's just to get people to subscribe to Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Like, not Amazon Prime, the video distribution, but just
the buying
to buy
shit.
to be more likely to order garbage cabinets and stuff.
Yeah.
And like this Tolkien's legacy. It's so sad.
Chris, how could you?
Yeah. But yeah, that's gonna be fun. So we have our D&D / tabletop group has it's called Hate Watch 2022. Where we're gonna watch the first episode of the new Lord of the Rings show and Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, and eat a bunch of Redwall inspired cheeses and meats and
a Redwall inspired feast. The logistical issue that nobody has brought up yet is that Lord of the Rings comes out in September and D&D comes out in March. So
it comes out in March?
Yeah.
It comes out in March.
Yeah.
Why are they advertising it now? That's like 9 months from now.
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with people? What more do they have to...
We're going to do Hate Watch 2022 and then Hate Watch 2023.
Yeah. That's so dumb. So by the time nobody's going to remember any of these thoughts. It doesn't matter.
When the movie comes out?
The movie comes out in March 2023. Did movies always release trailers this far in advance? I feel like... I don't remember that.
I don't know, man.
It seems like it'd be like, oh, trailer, cool. Let's see it. You know?
Let's go right now.
Let's go this weekend.
I can probably buy that now.
Yeah, what the fuck? Holy shit. Well, I guess we're watching 2 Lord of the Rings episodes. Yeah, it's dire.
I'm excited for the Redwall Feast.
The Redwall Feast will be dope. That's what they need to make adaptations for.
Yeah.
They need to go from 1 all the way to 22. Yeah. That would be sick.
Yeah. And no more.
No. Yes. Don't do that to Jakes. Sweet Brian Jakes.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else about
No, we kind of
nerd movies?
Yeah.
They're mostly, it's such a weird thing. I think in summation, it's that nerd movies that are explicitly supposed to be about the games are bad, but nerd movies that are just like cool, vibey movies about other shit rock.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There you go.
We've solved it.
Yeah, and we were expecting us to talk about the new Horus Heresy, but we didn't.
I don't play Horus Heresy.
Yeah, you never
I don't play Marines. I got no Marines, you know?
Yeah, it's true. You got no Marines.
Xenos life, baby.
Xenos.
Every time you start a new Imperium army, I have to start a new Xenos army. It's perfectly balanced, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
I love humanity. All races coming together to stomp the skull of peaceful alien societies into the dirt.
just as Roddenberry
Yeah,
wanted.
Exactly. All right, we doing hobby progress?
Oof.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's been summertime.
It's been summertime.
It's been nice out. I went on vacation. I went to Montreal. I have not painted a single miniature since the last time we recorded.
Yeah, so I did a bunch of work on my War Master Swordsman, and then I moved. I haven't touched him since, or any other mini, but I set up my new hobby space. My first hobby space, dedicated hobby space in my life. Ooh, it feels good.
Yeah. That's the thing, is I think I need a dedicated hobby space. Because, getting everything out, putting it all away, it stinks.
Yeah, it stinks.
We went up to the cottage and I was like, I'm gonna finish those fucking Gloomhaven minis. And I brought all of my paints and these minis up to the cottage to paint. And then I just ate a jazz brownie and watched the Dwayne Johnson Hercules instead.
Did you like? Oh yeah, we talked about it a bit.
It's insane.
It's insane.
It doesn't make
so funny.
any sense at all.
It's so weird.
Yeah. It is. I was like, I think maybe 14 different people directed this movie, and then I found out Brett Ratner directed the movie. I was like, that makes more sense, actually. Like, yeah.
Man, yeah, okay, so you got a goal? You got a hobby goal?
My hobby goal is...
You know what, just give up on the Gloomhaven minis.
No.
The Gloomhaven minis are not happening.
My hobby goal between this recording session and whenever we next record is to paint one miniature.
Okay,
not a specific mini, I think I just need to get back in the routine of like painting.
Yeah, routine
is key. And so yeah, my goal is to just paint one dude.
Sick. I am going to finish going on vacation. I'm going to England, going to go to Warhammer World. I want to get some kind of kit. The second time going there, last time I got a kit. Feels good. Get a kit. That's hobby progress, buying something.
But buying shit is hobby progress?
No, it shouldn't be.
Okay.
But
because I could go and do a lot of progress.
You could, well, you could also buy shit for sure. But like, I'm gonna finish my swordsman. And I want to build my true scale Terminators that I made.
That's so much. That makes me feel so bad that my goal is to paint one dude.
Yeah, it's kind of bad, dude. It's kind of low. You can do it. I mean, aim low. You got a stretch goal?
Stretch goal, paint two dudes.
There you go. Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. You got cocked.
Hell yeah. Instagram, cocked pod.
Cocked pod. At cocked pod.
Yeah.
At Dorn to Raise Hell, number 2.
At bugs, I hate bugs. Rate and review on iTunes. All that good shit.
5 stars.
5 stars.
Right.
And if you give us less than 5 stars, you need to explain why.
Explain.
And then, I think we should open up a caveat that if you rate us less than 5 stars, one of us will play you in a game of 40k, and if we win, you have to bump it up to 5.
You're not getting any 5 stars. Yeah. I'm down, man. Fuck it. Let's do it. Fly to Toronto.
Fly to Toronto.
All expenses paid by you.
Oh, yeah.
You can stay wherever you want, away from us.
Yeah.
And we'll play you in 40k. You have to review it in the show.
Yeah.
All right.
And then rate us 5 stars.
Yeah.